Everyone, this is I think the final podcast for this semester where I'm going to introduce the diminished seventh and the diminished seventh chord and the half diminished seventh chord. So those are the two last types of chords that we're going to talk about this semester. If you haven't already, please review what we've done on yesterday, Tuesday, November 14th, where there's a podcast and also a lecture recording where I demonstrate the first three types of seventh chords on the board. That includes the dominant seventh chord, the major seventh chord, and the minor seventh chord. So today we are continuing on with the last two, the diminished seventh chord and the half diminished seventh chord. Please follow along with the worksheet that is attached to the dashboard on Blackboard, the dashboard posting for today, Thursday. You will also need to submit a copy of the completed worksheet by the end of the day on Thursday by taking a legible picture, a photo of it, and submitting it on Blackboard, or using a scanner app either on your phone or a tablet. Okay. But in any case, if you have trouble with the scanning, just take a photo and send it in. Okay. Now, pretty simple. This is just two more things. The diminished seventh chord and the half diminished seventh chord both includes the triad of a diminished triad. So in the example here, these are two C chords. The first one on the left is a C diminished seventh chord. The one on the right is a C half diminished seventh chord. You'll notice that of the triad on the bottom, that is to say the triad that's formed by the roots third and fifth, that is a diminished triad, the C diminished triad. And that's C, E flat, and G flat. What's different between these two is the seventh. Okay, so if you take a look at the interval between for the diminished seventh chord, the interval between the root and the seventh is a diminished seventh, apropos to the name. And for the half diminished seventh, the interval between the root and the seventh, the C and the B flat, is actually just a minor seventh. Okay, so in the diminished seventh version here, there's a B double flat, which means that this is one half step smaller than the minor seventh, which would make it a diminished seventh. C to B double flat is a diminished seventh. Okay, so hence the name diminished seventh chord. You also notice that for the diminished seventh chord, all the thirds between the root and the third and fifth, and the fifth and the seventh, they're all minor thirds. Okay, so that's another way to check on your work to see if you're spelling it correctly. For the worksheet, please fill in the information by looking through these two chords and also writing down, analyzing the intervals here in the first part. And then the second part, I'd like you to write out diminished seventh chords using the listed notes as roots. So for example, on the treble clef, we start with a D. So your first task here would be to form a D diminished triad. So D, F, A flat. And then for the diminished seventh chord, okay, you're looking for a diminished seventh between the D and the C. Okay? So in this case, since the minor seventh here would be D to C, the diminished seventh would be D to C flat. So the correct answer for the first one would be D, F, A flat, C flat. Okay, so that's the D diminished seventh chord. So repeat this process with all of these notes for the treble and the bass clef, and then also for the half diminished seventh chord. Okay. Again, refer to the model here on the top, where we talked about what constitutes a diminished seventh chord and what constitutes a half diminished seventh chord. At the very end of the worksheet, there are 2 pages, by the way, so please make sure you print both pages out. The second page, I'm asking you to identify these chords now. So they include all 5 types. They could be dominant seventh, minor seventh, major seventh, diminished seventh, and half diminished seventh. So as we've done with the intervals, please tell me the root, that is to say the bottom note of these chords, and then also the quality. Okay, so for example, the first one in the treble clef, you're looking at C, E flat, G flat, and B flat. If you take a look at the triad, C, E flat, G flat, that's a C diminished triad. So automatically you know that this has to be some kind of a diminished seventh chord. And then you're looking at the interval between C and B flat, the root and the seventh, and that's a minor seventh. Hence, this is a half diminished seventh chord, a C half diminished seventh chord. So for the answer here, you would write C half diminished seventh. Okay, try this out. Don't get spooked by the double flats or double sharps if you get them, and make sure that you're always referencing the piano keyboard as you work. Okay? Good luck.